And we're back with the answer to today's Biz Quiz about how many restaurant and food service jobs are in Georgia. The answer is roughly 500,000. According to the Georgia Restaurant Association, as of this year, restaurant and food service careers make up 11% of employment in the state. By 2029, that number is expected to grow by 14%, or an additional 68,000 jobs. For Castellucci Hospitality Group, the restaurant business is a family affair. Every drink, every course, every meal is crafted with the intent to deliver a quality dining experience. Federico Castellucci III has been in the restaurant business his entire life, following in the footsteps of his father and grandfather. Today, Castellucci Hospitality owns and operates 7 restaurants across Metro Atlanta. And there's more on the menu, as you'll see in today's executive profile.
You grew up in Rhode Island originally, before your family came down. What was the family business when you were growing up?
The Greek immigrants on one side of my family came over around the turn of the century and opened up a diner in 1917. That was where my grandmother worked, and it was her father's place. And so we've kind of been drafted into the restaurant business ever since. And you know, we came down to Atlanta in '97, and my dad had just really been through some business troubles in Rhode Island, and you know, had lost everything with his businesses and pulled out of Forbes magazine of fastest growing places in America, and literally put our, you know, family, 3 kids, a dog and a cat in a Volvo station wagon, drove down south.
What kind of impact did that have on you and your views of the restaurant business and everything that was going on? Because it must have been pretty traumatic.
The moment for me that kind of changed my perspective and kind of also my life was, I remember sitting in the car with my dad at one point, and we were just about to open the first roasted garlic. It's like, after school every day, you know, you're going to be working at the restaurant and, like, you know, work in the kitchen, and you know, every weekend we're closed on Sundays, so we take Sundays off. And I just remember asking him, like, well, am I ever going to get to play with my friends? Like, am I ever going to have like a normal life? And he's like, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. and like, he's like, I have no other option. Like, you have to step up for me. And like, as a, you know, 13, 14-year-old kid, my dad and I were the only line cooks. We literally didn't have any cooks or employees. And so he and I would prepare and cook all the food. To see the success of the work and like putting in a long, hard day's work and then seeing the results of that is like addicting. So you just kind of like get into that mode, you know?
You went on to the Westminster schools and then went on to Cornell University. How was the college experience for you?
Yeah, it was fantastic. I loved it. And I, you know, met my original business partner in the Iberian Pig there, and we cooked together on the line. And for the first time, I realized outside of the family business that, hey, there's like actually a way to make money doing restaurants. So like we'd always grown up and just the business was always a struggle, you know. It's like always trying to make sure we're hitting payroll and not bouncing checks and doing things like that. And so I just never knew anything outside of that. I never knew like that there was like a whole organized way to like run a business, you know. And so I started learning that while I was there.
So you got back to Atlanta.
Yep, literally I drove down from Ithaca, and the next day took over the Sugo in Johns Creek that had recently closed, and we reopened. And so I took over as the only manager. You know, those early days were really, really difficult. And that's honestly where the business philosophy of our entire company was born. Our mission statement is passionately pursuing the perfect dining experience, one guest at a time, and really is about one individual guest. And I realized that building relationships in the restaurant and outside of the restaurant was really the core of like how we built the business, you know, like focus on hospitality and make sure every guest experience is great and do that night in and night out. And it will slowly and eventually grow and build. And so that worked, that philosophy panned out. And then within 2 years, I was able to sign a lease on the Decatur Square for the original location of Iberian Pig in 2009. And that was kind of another major turning point for us. And so,
where did you get the idea for the Iberian Pig?
So I took a brief trip to Spain, and I fell in love with the jamon iberico, the cured meats and cheeses of Spain, the wine, some of the classic ingredients, tapas culture, like just kind of bouncing around from tapas bar to tapas bar. And you know, I came back to Atlanta and we just had nothing like it. We were just doing things that we thought would be well received and delicious and interesting and different, you know.
How many members of the family are working in the business?
So There's my mom and dad.
Right.
My mom's the general manager of Sugo, the restaurant that I ran in 2007. My dad works with her out there as well, so it's like Cheers. I mean, they know every customer that comes in. I mean, the service out there is the best you're going to get anywhere in Atlanta. It's like such an old school mom and pop type thing. And then my brother is a chef. He's the chef of Iberian Pig in Buckhead now. And then my sister oversees Krog Street Market restaurant, so Recess and Bar Mercado. So, and then I have my wife who just recently joined the business, which is crazy, but she used to be a banker on Wall Street, and now she oversees all of our marketing, social media, special events, and sales.
What's been the toughest restaurant opening for you?
The most difficult was Iberian Pig because, you know, we're going into that opening in 2009. We had an initial budget of $100,000 that we were going to spend on that restaurant. My general contractor stole my $20,000 deposit and left town after doing some demo work. So I had to jump in and be the general contractor, open the restaurant. We had overdrawn every bank account and we were like all in. So like we needed the sales to come in order for that restaurant to survive. And so we opened on a Friday night and got absolutely crushed. Like it was, I don't know where the people found out that we were open, but we were so busy that first night, and it was a disaster, to be honest. Like no one got anything they ordered. It was just like we were slinging stuff out of the kitchen as fast as we could, and just hopefully people got fed that night. The same philosophy of that, like one guest at a time, we approached in that restaurant and every restaurant since then, of building those relationships, and it took off, and that really kind of ended up fueling the growth of all the other restaurants.
Well, this year, the company's The Iberian Pig celebrates 10 years. In addition to leading the company, Federico also serves on the board of directors of the Georgia Restaurant Association and is a mentor for budding hospitality technology companies.